Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Max. So let's talk about it. Yeah, I said it. YouTube is the Chitlin circuit of mainstream media. And I say that because I was talking to one of my brothers the other day. Shout out to Reverend Tony over at Self Awareness TV. And we were discussing how these mainstream news sites will come down into the YouTube world and they will start to siphon information and storylines and points from smaller YouTube content providers. And so I look at the YouTube world as the Chitlin circuit. And if you don't know what the Chitlin circuit, back in the days, I say like the 40s, 50s, 60s, back in that era of music, you had guys like Chuck Berry and Little Richard and all of these artists, all of these black artists who would make great music. And you have the white artists who were on the big labels, the big record labels, would come down to the black music circuit, which they called the Chitlin circuit, and they would hear these songs, and then they would go back and remake them as their own and put them out to the mainstream. And this is what mainstream media seems to be doing with YouTube content providers. Now they'll come down and you'll see these subs, and you be like, oh, I got a new sub, that's cool. But little do you know that that sub is an agent for these larger platforms, and they're just here to glean information from you so that those mainstream platforms can have some type of respectability and plausibility, because smaller journalists like us down on this level, we have to be airtight on our information. So we'll go the extra length to check our sources and to check the validity of a story that we put out, because that is the determining factor between people trusting our word and the content that we put forth. And so we have a little bit more of a incentive to have integrity in the stuff that we report and the stories that we bring to you guys. And they know this. And so they will come down here, just like those artists used to go down to the black neighborhoods and the black bars at night and the nightclubs and stuff like that, and listen to the black music that the artists would come in and play. And this was an artist that was well known in the black community and well known in the Chitlin circuit, but they were not known worldwide because they were not given that platform. Does that sound familiar? And now you have these people who are coming down to the YouTube Chitlin circuit, and they're gleaning all of our information. They're gleaning our storylines. They're gleaning our style and all of our format and different things like that. And, you know, this is something that's very hard to prove. And so all we can do is just say that this is what's taking place. But if there was actually a real governing body over YouTube who really regulated YouTube like it was supposed to be regulated, then we would see very clearly that these people are doing what they're doing. But the problem is, YouTube has no governing officials over them. YouTube has no legislation. YouTube has no union. And so there's nobody to protect the content providers at all. Now you say, what about the YouTube copyrights and what about their community guidelines? Well, I'm so glad you said that, because going back to my homie once again, Reverend Tony already showed us that YouTube is the biggest hypocrite when it comes down to community guidelines and policies and procedures. Because if you look at the YouTube policies and procedures, they said that they will strike or take down your video if there's any bullying, if there's any violence, and it goes through a whole list of things that YouTube will take your video down for, But yet, soon as you turn on YouTube, you see gang murders, you see bullying, you see violence, you see all of the things that they claim that their community guidelines are against are in these videos that they force feed the people on a daily. You can turn around at any given time and see a black child being shot, or see a black child being brutalized, or a black man or black woman being brutalized. The latest being a black woman who's pregnant, and a cop still had the mind to put his knee in her neck. So you can go on YouTube and you can see all of these bullying tactics. You can see all of this violence executed towards us or demonstrated on us, but let you as a black person or a brown person come on here and even speak about it, and they'll try to strike you, and they'll try to silence you. But they'll take that same talking point that you came up with, they'll take that same information, and they'll take it to a mainstream media site, and they'll blast it all over the world. This is the hypocrisy that we're living in. And I want every content provider to understand this. So while you're sitting down here talking about, oh, somebody stole your content, this, or somebody stole your storyline, that, look, between us content providers down here on this level, don't nobody care about your content like that. I know I don't. And if they do, then they're right in the place where they need to be. They're never going to grow. They're never going to do it. Well, no, I take that back. Those usually be the main ones to make it. The greedy ones who have no sense of integrity and have no bar that they set for themselves as a standard to live by, then yeah, they'll probably end up making it and blow up with a viral video, because YouTube understands that this person is fueled by greed and motivated by money, and they'll do anything so they can control people like that. So I take that back. Those people will flourish here on YouTube. But the people who have a sense of integrity, and the people who have a sense of righteousness, then we're going to stay at a certain level. So you have to understand that, be comfortable with that. So if you're on here and you're trying to blow up and you're trying to make money and you're trying to grow your site really quick, then I suggest you stay away from the type of content that me and Dr. Waltz and Reverend Tony and other people like that speak on, because you're not going to grow real fast, because this is not a popular vein to be in. Everybody likes to hear truth, they claim, but then we have this thing nowadays where people like to speak their truth. So their truth is just based on their experiences in life, and that's their reality. So I can't argue against somebody else's reality, because it is what it is. My reality and their reality are two different things. So I can't speak on their reality, therefore I can't speak on their truth. But at the same time, I also do not have to accept their truth, because it's theirs and theirs alone. It's not mine. But people will have a tendency to try to make you accept their truth in your world where their truth does not fit at all. And that's where the problem comes in. And so now I'm going to disregard anything that you says from that point, because your truth is not my truth. It's just your opinion based on your life. And so we have to understand these things. Get an understanding for words. That's the first thing we have to do, is go back to the basics of English and spelling, because a lot of you do not understand the definition of words that you use, and you use these words wrong and you miscommunicate, and then you get angry when someone takes you at your literal word that you misused, because you had no understanding of what it meant. You just like the way it sounded and the way it made you sound like you knew something. So then it backfires on you. And so I tell people all the time, man, when I get on here and I talk, I don't have no script. I don't have none of that. I just shoot straight from the hip, from my heart, from my mind, and from my spirit, and go from there. Whatever my heart, my mind, and my spirit says, then that's what it is because I meant it. And there's no way that I can take it back because I meant exactly what I said and I said exactly what I meant. So it's unapologetic. I don't expect it to be popular, but I do expect it to be respected. And if it's not, that's okay because I respect it and enough people respect it that, hey, it is what it is. But I don't want to get too far off the topic. Let me get back to the whole Chitlin circuit concept. You remember the movies, Five Heartbeats, The Temptations, um, uh, uh, what is it? Cadillac Records. All of these movies from back during that time address the issue of the Chitlin circuit and how your artists like Elvis Presley stole from Chuck Berry. Yeah, that was one that really came out, and we knew this before those movies came out, but the world didn't know this. And especially in the Five Heartbeats, I remember this one particular scene where their album, it was time for their album to be done, and they came into the record labels and they were shopping their song around, and the executive says the song is great, but check this out, and they brought in their counter group, which is the white group, and they started to sing I got nothing but love for you, but it was, oh, it was horrible. Y'all remember the hack job that they did. And then they also turned around and on their album cover, they would refuse to put the black faces of the actual singers of the song. They want to put a beach scene with white people playing with a beach volleyball and stuff like that because they did not want the world to know that these black artists made this great, beautiful music. And that was the repercussions of being in the Chitlin circuit. Yeah, you was gonna make great music and your people would know you, but when it came down to the world, oh no, 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 the other people are gonna get dibs on that. And so this is the same thing with our content. And there's times where I hear certain phrases from people and you can be like, man, I said that exact same thing 2 days ago, or I said that last week, or this, we can make many claims, but once again, can we really prove it? And I attribute it to this. You know, I saw a comedian one time and he was addressing the issue where they talk about another comedian steals your material and steals your joke. Now, comedians and musicians, artists, period, we have this other level of thinking and where we think outside of the box and we will try something that no other person thinks about and stuff like that. And when we do this, sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a miss, but we're willing to take that risk in order for creativity to take place. And so when we do this, you know, um, when we have a success out of taking a risk, this is something that's precious to us. So for somebody to come and snatch up something that is precious and dear to us, it make you feel some type of way, and you definitely want to say something about it. But the hard thing is being able to prove it. So why is there no system in place on YouTube to where we can trademark and copyright and ASCAP all of our videos and things like that so that it can be protected from these poachers who come down and steal information or steal talking points or steal storylines? Why? Why won't YouTube do anything to protect the people who is making YouTube all of its money and making it such a powerhouse in the mainstream media market? Why? It's about time. It's time for this to take place. There was a revolution in the music industry to where artists began to fight for the rights of their music so that it wouldn't be stolen by um, the greedy labels who are already rich and powerful. And I feel like YouTube needs the same thing. We need a union. We need a system. We need some type of rules and regulations for that same type of thing that's taking place on YouTube. And there's another subject that I kind of wanted to hit on because I wanted to fill out a little bit more time. And I knew that this was a cut and dry thing. The YouTube Chitlin circuit thing is very cut and dry, and it don't take a long time to explain. Anything outside of this 15 minutes and 30 seconds is going to be a fluff piece. So I'm going to switch the topic to fiat money because, and if you don't know what fiat money is, I'm sure most people who are well read and you study finance and the economy of the United States, then you understand what fiat money is, or you're familiar with the term. But if you're not, then I'm going to go ahead and bring you up to speed on it. So fiat money is basically money that we create that has nothing backing it. The only thing that's backing it is the government. There's no oil backing it. There's no resources of value to back this money. And so when this money goes out into circulation, it goes out to stimulate the market, but at the same time, it's going to cause major inflation and it's going to cause the prices of things to rise because that money was useless. So, and I say that because there's another stimulus check going out and it's going to certain places. And it seems like each stimulus check that goes out is more targeted towards a specific person each time. And I'm telling you that money is basically these stimulus packages. That is not for us to survive. That is not for us to do better. That is for the government to make up a reason to make money for themselves because the majority of the stimulus package goes towards the government. And not to mention the fact that the little bit that they do trickle down to those targeted groups of people, they turn around and give it right back to the government in their spending habits, their poor spending habits. They're not going to save that money. They're not going to hold on to it and turn it into something else. They're going to go and spend it at Walmart or Home Depot or wherever they frequent, and they're going to end up giving it right back to corporate America. So it's a win-win for corporate America. It's a win-win for the government, but the only people that's losing out seems to be us, because not only do we get some worthless monopoly money and we go out and spend that money on things and give it right back to them, but now the inflation is going to cause prices to rise on things in the store. And guess who's going to pay that? You guessed it, us, all day long. And so you're double paying on one item. Yeah, yeah. And so this fiat money that's going around and y'all talking about, oh, they helped us out. Oh, Trump gave us some money. Oh, Biden gave us some. They didn't give you nothing. They didn't give you nothing but another bill. And you're so money hungry and so blind by the fact of money that you can't even see how you've been manipulated and used and double charged on the same money that you didn't even have for a week. I guarantee you that money didn't last most people even a week. But this is the mindset of most people who who are in this world or in this country, and they don't understand what's going on. All they understand is somebody giving them some money, but they don't understand how many strings are attached to that money that they just received. And so they'll continue to be ignorant, and they'll continue to be money hungry, and they'll continue to be in a level of poverty because they have a poverty mind. They're poverty minded people. They're impoverished in their spirit. There's a spirit of poverty on them to where they just won't do the right thing to get themselves out of that place of financial oppression because they have no financial discipline and they don't want any. And so, that's just the society that we live in. That's all I really want to cover And you know, you can leave your views on it or whatever. But this is your boy D Mac, man. Y'all know what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.